Have you ever ended a day completely exhausted, only to realize that nothing in your life actually changed? You worked. You stayed busy. You answered messages, handled problems, survived the day. Yet when you lie down at night, there's a quiet, uncomfortable thought that keeps you awake. If I keep living like this, will anything ever be different? You're not lazy. You're not broken. And you're not unlucky. But there is a part of your day that's quietly deciding your future, and most people never even notice it. This is the story of one man who worked harder than almost everyone around him, yet stayed stuck for years, until he discovered what was really holding him back. Stay with me until the end, because this story may explain exactly why effort alone hasn't been enough for you. In a crowded city where buses were always late and buildings seemed permanently under construction, there lived a 35-year-old man named Daniel. Daniel worked as a customer support agent for a large delivery company. Every morning at 7:30 a.m., he squeezed into a packed bus, stood for nearly an hour, and arrived at his desk by 9. All day long, he answered complaints, solved problems that weren't his fault, and apologized for delays he couldn't control. By the time his shift ended at 6 p.m., his voice was tired, his shoulders tense, and his mind completely drained. Daniel wasn't irresponsible. He paid his bills on time. He didn't party excessively. He didn't waste money, but his life felt like a loop. Same commute, same desk, same paycheck, same frustration. He lived in a small apartment with thin walls and noisy neighbors. Every month, after rent and food, there was almost nothing left. Not enough to save, not enough to invest, not enough to feel safe. His dreams had quietly shrunk over the years. Once, he had wanted more. Now, he just wanted things not to get worse. At night, Daniel would sit on his couch scrolling through his phone, watching videos of people talking about success, discipline, and freedom. He told himself he was learning. He told himself he was getting motivated. But the truth was simpler. He was too tired to do anything real. By midnight, his eyes burned, his phone slipped from his hand, and he fell asleep knowing tomorrow would be exactly the same. His family didn't understand. His father often said, "At least you have a stable job." His friends said, "Everyone feels stuck sometimes." Even Daniel told himself, this is just adulthood. But deep down, there was a growing resentment, not toward others, but toward time itself. Years were passing, and he had nothing to show for them except survival. One evening, after a particularly exhausting day, Daniel missed his bus and had to walk home. As he passed by office buildings with lights still on, he saw people inside working late, talking, planning. Then he passed cafes where others laughed and relaxed. Everyone seemed to be moving somewhere. Everyone except him. When he reached his apartment, he sat in the dark without turning on the light and thought, I work all day, so why does my life stay the same? Weeks later, something happened that forced him to confront that question. Daniel's company announced restructuring. Nothing dramatic. No mass layoffs. Just subtle changes. Fewer overtime hours. More performance pressure. The same pay, but more expectations. That night, Daniel lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, calculating numbers in his head. If anything went wrong, even slightly, he had no margin, no backup, no control. That realization scared him more than exhaustion ever had. The next morning, Daniel woke up earlier than usual, not by intention, but because sleep wouldn't come back. It was 5:40 a.m. The city outside was quiet. No traffic, no notifications, no demands. For the first time in years, Daniel was awake before the world needed something from him. He made coffee and sat by the window. There was no plan, no motivation speech playing, just silence. And in that silence, a painful thought surfaced. Every meaningful thing I want to change in my life requires energy. And I give all my energy away before I even think about myself. That thought stayed with him throughout the day, while answering calls, while commuting, while eating dinner. When night came, Daniel did something unusual. He went to bed at 9:30 p.m., not because he was disciplined, because he was curious. The next morning, his alarm rang at 5:30 a.m. His body protested immediately. Every excuse appeared at once. You're tired. You deserve rest. This won't change anything. But Daniel remembered the fear he felt calculating numbers in bed. He stood up. Those first mornings were uncomfortable. The apartment felt strange at that hour. The city felt like a different place. But Daniel noticed something important. His mind was clear. There were no messages demanding replies. No problems to fix. No one pulling him in different directions. For the first time, his attention belonged to him. At first, he didn't know what to do with that time. He made mistakes. Some mornings, he just sat there, unsure. But slowly, he began to use that quiet space intentionally. He started reading about skills related to operations and logistics, something adjacent to his job but more valuable. He followed structured lessons instead of random videos. He took noches, not many. Just enough. An hour passed quickly. Then another. At 7:30 a.m., when Daniel left for work, something felt different. His job was still the same. His salary was still the same. But he felt like he had already lived a full day before most people even started theirs. The change wasn't immediate. The first 2 weeks were hard. He went to bed earlier than his friends. He missed shows. He said no to late-night scrolling. His body resisted. His mind looked for shortcuts. But something else was growing quietly. Consistency. After a month, Daniel had completed his first structured course. After 2 months, he understood systems he had never noticed before at work. Patterns, inefficiencies, opportunities. He wasn't smarter. He just wasn't exhausted anymore when it mattered. One morning, during a team meeting, a problem came up that had been recurring for months. Delays, miscommunication, repeated complaints. Daniel spoke up. Calmly. Clearly. He suggested a simple change in workflow. His manager paused, then nodded. Let's try that. The change worked. Nothing dramatic happened that day. No applause. No promotion. But something shifted. Daniel was no longer invisible to himself, and that mattered more than recognition. 6 months later, Daniel was offered a different role within the company. Same place. Different responsibility. Better pay. More stability. When his manager asked how he had developed those skills, Daniel answered honestly, I stopped giving my best hours away. That night, Daniel walked home smiling quietly. Not because he had won, but because he understood something most people never do. Your life is T-shaped by how hard you work when everyone is watching. It's shaped by what you build when no one is asking anything from you. Here's what most people get wrong. They believe change requires more motivation, more energy, more time. But time already exists. Energy already exists. What's missing is ownership of the quiet hours. The hours with no pressure, no noise, no expectations. That's where direction is built. You don't need to wake up early to be successful, but you do need a protected window in your day where your future matters more than your survival. For some, it's early morning. For others, it's late night. The hour doesn't matter. The silence does. Daniel didn't change because he worked harder. He changed because he stopped postponing himself. He stopped waiting for the perfect moment. He stopped believing that exhaustion was proof of progress. And now, this story turns to you. If every day feels full but unproductive, ask yourself one question. When is the last time I worked on my life before working for it? If the answer is never, that's not a failure. That's awareness. And awareness is where change begins. Here's your challenge. Identify one uninterrupted hour in your day that currently belongs to nothing important. No work, no family, no obligations. Protect it. Decide in advance what you will build during that hour. A skill, a plan, a foundation. Commit to it for 60 days, not because it's exciting, but because it's quiet. If this story resonated with you, write in the comments what you would build if you had 1 hour fully to yourself every day. That single sentence is a commitment. If you found value here, like this video so it reaches someone else who feels stuck but can't explain why. Subscribe to this channel if you want more stories about ordinary people who change their direction by mastering the unseen parts of their lives. Remember this: your future isn't waiting for more effort. It's waiting for your attention. And the most important work you'll ever do happens when the world isn't watching.